Warning, this podcast brought to you by a sports team fanboy living here in Miami. We'd like to remind you that during this podcast you may hear swearing, yelling, ranting, a whole bunch of other stuff your ears may not be prepared for. Your discretion is advised.
Hello sports fans, my name is Stephen Wolf, and this is another episode of my Sport Podcast. Today, I'll be discussing the Miami Heat trying to maintain their AC spot in the playoffs as they return to hardwood after the All-Star break. Meanwhile, the Florida Panthers continue to try to secure a playoff spot of their own as their season continues to unwind. But first, I must discuss something I failed to address in my last video. I'm still new making these, and I didn't know how to address this delicately. So here goes. There was a school shooting at Stoneman Douglas High School, and a lot of people were hurt and killed. My hearts and prayers go out to the victims of that tragic event, and I hope everyone can find peace and try to move on. Even though that day was a very tragic one, it will not be easy, but hopefully we can find some type of closure in this. Again, I'm not good at addressing these or anything. Lucky for me, Dwayne Wade and Roberto Longo had speeches of their own to the victims during that event. So it was very moving speeches. If you wish to see the videos, links down below. Now into sports. The Miami Heat only had 2 games this week, the Pelicans and the Grizzlies. With the Pelicans, the Miami Heat went back and forth with that team. And of course, the Miami Heat managed to have poor shooting in that game and caused the Pelicans to not claw their way back, but basically tie the game up and going at the end of the fourth quarter, going to overtime. A rare event indeed. And in overtime, again, even though it was in the fourth quarter, Miami Heat managed to have the ball at the end and try to get off the final shot of the game. But time ran out. Well, they missed the shot and time expired, losing the game 124-123. But I do have to say this: Dwayne Wade looked like vintage Dwayne Wade. I mean, if he was any younger, I'm pretty sure he would have made that last shot. But time catches up to all of us. But I'm pretty sure he has a few clutch moments left in him as the season continues. Their final game will be of course, against the Grizzlies, and that that game was so different from the past 17 straight games that he had with other opponents. I mean, the past 23 out of 24 games were decided by 9 points. And it was either by the skin of their teeth that they win, or they just collapsed. Ugh. They basically beat the Grizzlies 115-89 by out-rebounding them, scoring more threes, and keeping the turnovers to a bare minimum. And it also helped that 6 players in the Heat roster had double figures in that game. One being Tyler Johnson with 23 points. Hopefully this will be a start of something new as the season continues. Not losing the games or blowing out the games even though we had a lead, or keeping it close and winning by the skin of our teeth. As for the Florida Panthers, their final game of their Canadian road trip ended with Toronto Maple Leafs. And it seemed that Roberto Longo will be helming the net for the rest of the way. For this week at least. And the game ended about basically 1-0, even though we outshot the Leafs 41-31. Well, 40-31. The Cats couldn't get past Toronto's Frederick Anderson, who basically did a pretty good job. And, well, the Leafs were the top team in the East, and basically, well, we did our best. That's all I can ask for. The next 2 games will be very different. Will be very differently, of course. First with the Washington Capitals. Even though the Cats were down 2-1 going to the third, thanks to Nick Bustag and Vincent Trocheck scoring the late goal, we managed to overcome the Capitals 3-2. Roberto Longo with 33 saves. Nice. And with the Pittsburgh Penguins, their final game of the week, that game was crazy. I mean, seriously, 11 goals? The Cats need to work on their defense, but the Cats did manage to win the game 6-5, with a hat trick being scored by Davov. Sorry if I'm saying his name wrong. And the Cats need to work on their defense, or else we will not get anywhere in the playoffs. Seriously, you can't let an opponent score 5 goals on you. It's like the beginning of the season, except we're actually winning them. But it was against the top team one of the top teams in the East. Washington, Pittsburgh, Toronto. The Cats basically had to fight back tooth and claw to basically win the games. Or at least keep the game close enough to be interesting. That indeed. Thanks for watching this episode of My Sport Podcast. I hope to see you next time in the next video. Watch my reactions, like, subscribe, and all that. Thanks my sports faithfuls. Bye.